Alright, to the next presentation that will be presented by two colleagues of mine, Willem van den Eynde, a senior software architect at Zenith Solutions, and Thomas Straetmans, a software developer at the same company.
Hi, welcome everyone. So I'm Thomas. I'm a junior software engineer at Zenith in Belgium, and with my colleague Willem van den Eynde, we're going to talk about Care4Alf, which is our developer support tool that we created over the last couple of years, and it's actually a combination of all the different scripts and all the different clients that we've had to create to fix certain things. And because we noticed that it becomes repetitive. Like every client has a different problem, which can actually be solved in the same way. So that's why we decided to start working on Care4Alf.
Okay, we started the project in 2014. And this is a list of the committers of that project. I think Laurent started it back a couple of years ago, and then I mainly took it over. And there were some other people from our company. We even got an intern who also contributed something to this project. There are about 30 little scripts into Care4Alf, and it almost has 100,000 lines of code. But other people also contributed to it just by using it and giving us things that could improve. As Thomas already mentioned a bit, that project started because we had a lot of knowledge already, but we used to bundle it into a wiki page or document it, or it would be little scripts that we left at the customer project, and the knowledge would never, didn't always come back, and it was difficult to reapply it with some other customers and projects. So the idea was to put everything into one tool, like a Fresco plugin. Yeah.
So as Willem said, there are about 30 different scripts. It's actually more like 100, but combined in 30 big ones. These are some of the ones that we use the most, like the tailing, an easy way to access your Catalina outlogs from the web page of Care4Alf instead of having to SSH to the server, which at a couple of clients is very useful, since it takes sometimes quite a while to access a proxy, to SSH to the server, and stuff like that. Also the category installer, it has an overview of the document models. It has a monitoring page, which provides a lot of useful information about Alfresco, about the database, Solr, and stuff like that. We have an SQL page as well, which for some people might feel scary, because I know not a lot of people like to be able to access the database directly. That's why it's not a completely functional database overview tool. You can use simple select queries, but we removed everything that has to do with updating or deleting of database entries, just to be sure. You never know who accesses your page.
Yeah, before we had that little tool, people had to do port forwarding, have to have a database viewer, had to set up, get the credentials, get the driver, and it always took a while. And this was just an easy way to switch some simple queries.
Here's some, for example, a screenshot of our node browser. It resembles what everyone expects it to, but it's very useful, for example, for the type change. Since changing the type of a document in share requires to edit the form to make it available in the drop down, you just exit here for small test data, for example. You put in your node ref, go to the node, change a type, you can change all the properties instantly as well.
Yeah, we'll be demoing that later. Yeah.
And then here, for example, the monitoring page, which Willem is going to.
Yeah, we collect some metrics from Alfresco. Yeah, the metrics that are easy to collect using the Alfresco API. For example, we wanted to know how many nodes there are in a cluster. It's a database, how big the database connection pool is, if the database is healthy, the ping, etc. GVM settings. It looks a bit cryptic, but that's because it usually gets scraped by our other monitoring tools. For example, it's also exposed to JSON, and we collect it every 5 minutes and put it into a small database, and then alert on some of the threshold values. But it's also important that we use that page once a developer does a deploy. He also has to look at some of metrics so that we make sure that we didn't break Alfresco after a deployment. One of the most things that occur the most is, for example, that you deploy a model that was non-incremental and then Solver stops tracking and stuff like that. And there is also a metric for that as well.
So yeah, like Willem said, what we use it for the most at the moment is the health check after a deploy. It's very fast, it's easy. You go to Care4Alf, you check the monitoring page. There are a couple of values which after a while you know by heart, so you know which ones to check. If there's an error, you instantly spot it and you can start debugging why it happened and what happened exactly. Like I said before, the error log is very useful. The logging page is one of the pages I think most of the Xenic developers use the most, since you can just change the logging settings on the fly. You just deploy the little module. You just want, for the first couple of moments, check the logs to be sure that everything is working as you expect, and then turn it off instantly afterwards to not cluster up your logging.
Yeah, without some of these features, you have to go into the log4j properties file, set it, restart Alfresco. That all takes a minute or so, and then this is just an easy way to change that.
Yeah, it's mostly a time saver.
Yes. So this is some stack what is built upon. So it's an Alfresco module. It's just a plugin for Alfresco. We use dynamic extensions because we use a lot of our company in house to rapidly develop a plugin for Alfresco. And then comes the Care4Alf module that contains all the scripts. We also expose everything to a REST API. Some of the things like the monitoring page that's unauthenticated, but all the rest is authenticated. You have to have administrator access to use it. We also internally have some services that we can easily reuse it between different scripts and between the REST API. It was created a few years ago, and back then Bootstrap and Angular was really good choice to build UI. So we use that as well.
So yeah, the installation, it's pretty straightforward. Since said we use dynamic extensions, so you obviously need dynamic extensions app, which can be gotten from its GitHub page. It's completely open source, and then you have to install the Care4Alf app on top of that. The Care4Alf app as well is open to the public.
Yeah, like we showed, the GitHub that was already a public, and Care4Alf you can download it from our Bitbucket. There's also a download step where you can get the latest version. So I think the best way to start is with the node browser. We already showed some screenshots, but now you can see it in action. So you can just copy paste in a node graph or use an FTS query, and then it either gives you one result, no results, or a list of results. And then if you click on one of the node graphs, it opens up the node browser page, and then you can see all the properties, types, spots. The biggest difference between the other node browser from Alfresco is that you can. Okay. So one of the biggest frustration was that in the node browser you could view all the metadata, and it was very useful. But if you wanted to change just one property file, you had to open up, for example, the JavaScript console, get the node graph, set the property, save back. Yeah, it was all quite tedious. Also, when we had to change the type, we do it in the same way. Before that, when you had to change a type on the fly, we could have configured share to do that, but then you have to list every document type. But with here in our version, there is a drop down. Yeah, it's fully editable. Yeah, you can edit every property of the document. So I think Tom is going to change the type, right? Yeah. So here you can easily change the type without having to do some extra coding. All the properties as well, you can even delete them, you can edit them. You can even create some associations on the fly.
Is it BeeCon with the type changes?
I think so.
Can you
There's,
make changes sideways?
you mean if you set the type or?
Content, team content or team folder?
Web? I don't know. Probably, yeah.
But yes, you can. Like,
Yeah.
the document node, the content node, you can switch it to a folder.
Yeah.
So I can shoot myself in the foot if I want to.
Yeah.
But you can also undo it. Change it back.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if
Your
you,
foot.
yeah, just use the API. So if you made some other scripts using the API, would have the same.
API prevents it, so it's using the API prevents
No, yeah, it might be an error.
The Java API does.
Because you really can change
There's an overview of all the types and properties in Alfresco, as well as aspects. Yeah, you have to zoom it in, zoom it out in this case. So now Thomas is going to show the logging. You can change it on the fly.
So yeah, like I said, the logging, it's pretty easy. It's very straightforward to use. You search the property you want to log for, and it looks very ugly, which normally it doesn't.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's an easy way to change them. We will, for example, just try to turn on all the Care4Alf logging if it isn't on yet. Go to, well, it's already on debug, so yeah,
set it on info.
it's you can put it on info as a can you type. So the big good thing of this is how fast and how easy it goes. As you see, there's no restarts. I know every one of you has looked at his screen for a couple of minutes waiting for the logging to say server started, which luckily now we don't have to do this every single time we want to change anything.
see, Thomas knows it by heart. He only has to know one letter of the... yeah, basically it was a bit of a frustration for some of the developers to always log into servers and do a tail. That's why I implemented. Yeah, you did a tailing, and then didn't you also add colors to it at one point?
Yeah, I didn't like the...
And auto refresh it and stuff like that. So yeah, Care4Alf is all tool for us. If there are any frustrations, we can speed things up. We put it in there. One of the things that I use quite often is this bulk tool. It just uses the Alfresco bulk processor, but it provides a user interface for it. For example, I can here specify an Alfresco FTS query. Yeah, there are some default batch size, and there's also something in here that you can yeah, process documents, even millions of documents, but without the side effect at all that Solar will run too much behind. So if we process too much documents, it will just pause a little bit until Solar catches up. One of the other frustrations when we were using that was that customers said that, yeah, you processed all those documents, you changed all the metadata, and now the modifier is on admin. Yeah. And we added a button for it to disable the audible policies as well. Yeah, I can use here a default query. I can, for example, do a set property. Or any side effects? No, any side effects? Why not? In that folder. Thomas is already afraid of me. So here you can follow the job. If a job takes a day or something, you can just check in later and see if it succeeded or not. Now with 18 documents, it finishes very easily. You can also cancel it if you think there's a problem with it or it ran.
We've tried it with all different kinds of documents and amounts of documents. So this is 18, works easy and fast. We've done it. We've used this for 1 million documents before as well,
Yeah.
which is not that fast, obviously. That's why we put in the cancel, just to be sure that if something is breaking up, that it's not gonna slow down and then bug your system for a long time.
Yeah, and before we had that tooling Care4Alf, we used to make, if you had to process just some documents, you made small scripts. When you were two-man documents, you had to handle the transactions, you had to make another script. And then you made something custom for one client, you made something custom for another client. And this was a way for us to just have one tool for it and just easily reuse it. For example, I can show you one or two more things. For example, in the Alfresco documentation, there was something that calculated the memory. No, three. So in the Alfresco documentation, there was something that explained how big the Solar caches were, and you had to execute some database queries, and you had to follow those instructions for calculating it. And we calculated a couple of times by hand for some clients, and afterwards I calculated again, and it took a half a day to tell, like, okay, how do you have to do it? And find the documentation, we execute the queries. Now we just made a Care4Alf page for it. You just had to, with a press of a button, you could get that same information now. Also something that we get asked a lot is, can you give us an overview of the metadata, like in a CSV? And yeah, in the beginning we write with one script, and now we also put it into there. So it's easy to just put in a query, put the columns field. You can put in a list of properties, and if you execute it, it will return just a CSV. Apparently it's empty, so maybe that's
Because on the query there is no document with metadata.
okay.
So are there any more questions? Yes?
Bindu, I think is your name.
Ask a question and you can just repeat it. This looks really interesting. Also, a lot of overlap with the support tool stuff. It would be great to try and figure out how to collaborate on that. One thing that I have run into with stuff like this in the past is the license. I was looking on your website and you don't have a license stated for this. Could you guys figure that out and add it to your project?
Yes, but the big problem at the moment with the license is mostly that since we build it on top of dynamic extensions, which at the moment does not get supported by Fresco. But we're looking into it, and
yeah, we still have to put a license on it, but the idea is that you could use it.
Most of my customers won't use it without a license.
No, but it's also not really something that we built for customers. It's something that we built mostly for us. So a lot of the systems we put it on during development, we get it off after we finished our development. Depending on which customers, some customers like to use it afterwards as well.
What would be a good license?
Apache,
Apache.
MIT.
But also, this was our own project for a long time, so we only put it in open source recently.
Yeah, I thought about it last week. I didn't.
Yeah, it's none of it, it's awesome. Just like something to think about. It's an odd thing. It's a blocker for companies, maybe not so much for institutions.
Yeah, we're still figuring it out what the best way to do.
Any other?
Do you mind, for example, it's a Bitbucket project, or does it really have to be a GitHub project?
Any other questions?
Do you think it's important to have it on Maven Central as well now? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, always.
Always.
I mean, for something that is Java-based and
Yeah.
used to be consumed by people using SDK, for example, or Windows daemon generator.
I tell you what. If you put it in Maven Central, I'll make it one click for people to install it into the SDK using the image generator. Okay.
All right, that's a deal. Tomorrow it will be done.
Tomorrow it's Saturday.
Okay, maybe
Thomas
next
will do
week.
it on Saturday.
So
yeah, we wanted to give something away. If people took the effort to install it and give us some feedback. We've got those really expensive marketing material at Xenit, or those tile trackers, but I wasn't allowed to give it away like that. So yeah, if you, for example, install it and let us know via tweet, for example, something that it's worked or that you liked something or disliked something, you can have one of those. We have one of those with us.
Since sadly we've been put as the last presentation, you have to hurry though.
How much time do you have? 90 minutes? But yeah, if it's an SDK, it won't be much time.
You have to also do dynamic extensions, has to be in Maven Central as well. But
Okay.
no.
Then it might take a bit longer than tomorrow.
we saw that all the good presentations had funny pictures in it of camels and or it was an A-team team, but we figured out also something.
We found, since we're in Zaragoza, and we have some, well, we'll call him famous Belgian artist who has a Zaragoza song. We thought, as a thank you to everyone from BeeCon and from and all the developers and everyone who was here, we have a very short song.
Very short song. That was it.
Yeah, YouTube and PowerPoint. Music.
Sing it.
No. If you want to hear, you can hear. Listen to my colleagues.
Unplug the screen and just hold your mic next to it. We won't see the picture.
I think you have 3 minutes left.
Yeah, we have time.
Until the end of the talk.
Why is it not working?
Unplug the screen. Oh, it's the. Sorry.
It's not actually master, but it's actually
I do it all the time. Yeah, switching nodes using the adjustments. Node service, you can just cross. You can change anything. And basically, what happens is whenever you type it to, you just get the no in the node browser for things that don't match the model, but it works.
Okay, let's try this again.
yeah, I know the implementation has sometimes, for example,
Okay, never mind. We tried. It was. Oh, there it is. And the Spanish taxi drivers like the song a lot. Yeah. And that's enough because it's not that good.